Hello and welcome back or welcome to Beyond the Limit. If this is the first time joining me, I appreciate you stopping in and taking a look and a listen. This YouTube channel is just basically to chronicle my journey to what I hope is going to be a running and completion of the Cocodona 250-mile race next year in 2027. That's my ultimate goal. So, got a long ways to go between now and then. A lot of things to do, to prepare, to get ready. But I thought one of the things that I could do as I'm chronicling this journey is to just talk about the races that I have between now and then. And so this is going to be a little series on the next few races that I have, with each episode talking about one of the races, why I'm doing it, why I like it, what I think it means to me, and just kind of things like that. So this is going to be the first of those episodes. And so yeah, let's get started. So today I want to talk about Blackbeard's Revenge 100 Ultra and Relay, commonly referred to, at least by me, as just simply Blackbeard's. So that's what I'll refer to it, but it is technically called Blackbeard's Revenge 100 Ultra and Relay Race. As I'm recording this, we are 7 weeks away from the start of that. So getting very, very close, getting very excited. It's going to be March 21st and 22nd. Starts early morning on the 21st and goes into the afternoon on the 22nd. So I'm looking forward to it. This will actually be my third time running it. I'll be running the 100 mile. Included in Blackbeard's is a 100 mile race, a 100K race, a 100 mile relay, and as well as a 100 mile relay chariot race. So 4 different races comprised into that. A little bit about the race itself. It is a point-to-point race. It starts in Corolla, North Carolina, and runs down to Hatteras, North Carolina, which is along the Outer Banks of the state of North Carolina. So it's the barrier islands that help protect some of the coastal areas of North Carolina. It runs all the way down that strip of islands, that series of islands commonly called the Outer Banks. It is mostly just straight down the Outer Banks. Right after the start, there is a short little section where you go north for a mile or two, if I remember correctly, and then you turn and head south. And then it's straight south until you reach approximately mile 86. And then there's another little out and back in there where you go out towards, I believe it's the Hatteras Lighthouse. It's a lighthouse out there, and then come back to the main road and continue on down to the finish line. I will say that this is my third year running the 100 mile. I am an ambassador for the race this year. This is the first year that I've been an ambassador for it, so I'm very excited about that. With that being said, don't take my word as the gospel about anything I say about Blackbeard's. Please consult the information on the website, consult the manual, just because I could make a mistake, and I don't want you to blame me if I do say something wrong. So I'm going to be open and honest as I can, but I don't know, some of the details may get lost here in the translation, but so please just verify anything I say. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, ask me. Happy to answer any questions. Next, I want to talk about a little bit about the history of myself of Blackbeard's. I honestly don't know how long it's been running. I know this is kind of the second iteration of it. There was a group that ran it for a while, and then it got transferred over to the current race director and his crew, Trivium Racing. So my history of it, the way that I found out about Blackbeard's was 4 years ago. So that would have been 2023. Very dear friend of mine and one of my favorite running buddies, my favorite running buddy out there, she was planning on running the 100K. She had one person that was going to crew her during the race, and they decided to go horseback riding, had an injury just a couple of days before Blackbeard's was to begin. So she was basically crewless when she had planned on having a crew. So after a couple of phone calls and messages to my wife and I from my friend, we decided that we would fly out there and give her a hand. We flew out Friday, got there late Friday night, and drove down. The closest airport to the race is Virginia Beach, and it's a couple-hour drive from the airport at Virginia Beach down to where the race is, down to the Outer Banks. So we got in really, really late that night, early morning on Saturday, got a few hours of sleep, woke up, met with them in the morning to go over the details, plans for the day. And her race, the 100K, started at noon. And so we were her crew. I ended up being a pacer for quite a bit of it, a little less than 40 miles, somewhere between 35 and 40 miles. And to date, at that time, that was the furthest that I'd ever gone during a race. It was my unofficial first ultra. So I'd done a marathon prior to that, but never anything longer. That was my first ultra, like I said. So that was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of people that supported and put on Blackbeards. And that was my first introduction to Blackbeards. As I was sitting there at the finish line, looking at the beautiful treasure chest of buckles and medals that they had there, I decided that Blackbeards would be my first 100. If I was going to do a 100-mile race, my first one was going to be Blackbeards. And so went back, did it in 2024 was my first 100, and then 2025 was the second year that I did it with. This year, 2026, will be my third time doing Blackbeards, and it'll be my third 100-mile. I'm happy to say I completed both of the previous ones, and with any luck, I'll be completing my third one. Some of the reasons that I absolutely love this race, and the reason that I'm returning for the third year, a lot of it has to do with the people that put it on. This is an amazing group. They will do anything they absolutely can for their runners to help support them. They check on their runners during the race. They will drive up and down the road. As they go past a runner, they'll slow down. They'll ask them if they're doing okay, they need anything, things like that. Aside from that, I mean, the swag. The swag is just awesome. So this is the 2024 buckle. So pretty cool. And then the 2025 buckle looks like this. And I will tell you, the 2026 buckle is just as cool. It's a little different than the last two, but it is still super cool. In fact, that I love this race so much, and I love the buckles that they have. I ended up turning both of those buckles into tattoos that I have. So that's very cool. I think, to me, that says a lot about the quality of the swag that they present to their runners. They also have the nice pullover shirts that they give. This is last year's pullover shirt. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got that on the back. This is the ambassador shirt that I'm wearing now. I don't know how well you can see it, but it does say ambassador on the sleeve here. The hat that I'm wearing is also Blackbeard's hat, but that's I did that one myself for my first year. Let's see. Other reasons to absolutely adore Blackbeards and running along the Outer Banks. The sunrises and the sunsets are amazing. There's just nothing like it. Running along the sand dunes and seeing the sunrise and the sunset. If you're lucky or unlucky enough to have a storm, you may see a gorgeous rainbow or 3 rainbows pop up. You just never know what you're going to get there. Another reason that I love Blackbeards is their aid stations. They have 18 aid stations. Not all of them are manned. Some are unmanned that have water, tailwind, gels, that sort of thing. They're sitting there for you to be able to refuel and fill up your water bottles and stuff. But a good chunk of them are manned and they have delicious food. The volunteers that they have there are simply amazing people. They will encourage you and cheer you on, and they make some of the best ultra running food there is out there. After all, that's what ultra running is all about. It's just a running from one buffet to another. So it's a great reason to do it. Another reason that Blackbeards is a favorite of mine, well, I guess it has to be a favorite since I keep going back to doing it, but so far it's my only 100 that I've done. But the race in itself as just being a favorite of mine is the fact that you can have a pacer from the start, which is absolutely fabulous. Not all races do that, so that is a great way, especially if it's your first 100. It's a great way to have somebody keep you company the entire time. It doesn't have to be the same person. You can swap out pacers as many times as you want. They just have to be registered. So that is definitely an advantage when you're out there, especially as the night gets later and later, mornings get earlier and earlier, is to have someone there with you to just take your mind off of how much fun you're having out there. Another great reason to run Blackbeards is where it ends. It ends at Hatteras, but it doesn't end just your normal finish line type ending that you have there. It ends at a tiki bar. Now, how cool is that? It's called the Wreck Tiki Bar. It is in Hatteras, and they plan on being open for 30 some hours, I think, this year, at some ridiculous amount of time that they're just going to stay open continuously just for us. They have special food. They have special drinks for us. Last year, they had a flag there, a pirate flag that everyone got to sign if they wanted to, all the finishers signed, and they hung up on the wall. So I'm excited to see if that's still there. I'm assuming it's still there. So that's another just fabulous reason to run Blackbeards, is you get to end at a tiki bar. So a little bit about some of the challenges that you can get from Blackbeards. It is pretty much flat. It does have a few bridges and a couple of little hills, but for all intents and purposes, it's a flat 100-mile race, which can be challenging as in itself. You're using the same muscles over and over and over and over. But for a first-time ultra, especially someone that doesn't do a lot of hills, I love it. I think it's great. It definitely will test your stamina and your mental fortitude. So there's one thing that always seems to be a constant with Blackbeards and the Outer Banks in March, and that's the wind. It could be a headwind, it could be a tailwind, crosswind, but there's going to be wind, pretty much guaranteed. Blowing sand, good times. My first experience in 2023, when I was pacing and crewing for the 100K, it was warm that year and we had a headwind the entire way. The entire length from Jeanette's Pier, which is where the 100K starts, down to Hatteras. We had a warm headwind. It was a very strong headwind. We got to the finish line and I was chatting with some of the race support volunteers, crew, that sort of thing, and asked them about the wind. And asked, is this pretty typical? And they said it's typical that it blows, but whether it's a headwind or a tailwind, it just varies. But quite often it's tailwind. I'm like, okay, well, tailwind wouldn't be so bad during this. So let's fast forward to 2024. In the days leading up to Blackbeards, there was a storm that came in, torrential downpour for a couple of days, to the point where the southern end of the race course, Hatteras, in that area, was flooded. It was flooded with water, covered with sand from the sand dunes. It was a disaster. For all practical purposes, the southern half of the course was impassable. So the race director made a decision, and I can't remember if it was on Thursday or Friday that they made this decision, but they were going to make it an out and back instead of a point to point. So it would still start in Corolla and it would end in Corolla. There's a bridge at about the halfway point. It's the Mark Bass Knight Bridge, I believe it's what it's called. And it's a pretty significant bridge. It's probably the highest elevation that you get during the race itself. But as you drop down off the bridge, there's area there. There's pull off where there's always an aid station, and that's where they turned us around. So we went down the course, over the bridge, turned around, and went back up over the bridge. So when I get to the start line, still torrential downpour, everything is soaking before we even got started, and we have a headwind. A pretty strong headwind, 20, 30 mile an hour, and I don't know what the gusts were. But it was torrential downpour. There were parts of the course where we were going through water that was mid-calf high. It was, honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was a challenge, but it was fun to see what you could or couldn't do. A lot of wet shoes, clothes were soaked. It was a mess. It rained all day long. Headwind all day long. Get to the bridge, to the Bass Night Bridge. As we are starting to go over the bridge, I believe just before we get to the bridge, the rain finally subsides and skies start to open up a little bit and clear off a little bit. Still got a headwind. As I'm crossing the bridge, I feel the wind shift. So as I'm going down the bridge to the aid station, now I have a tailwind, which means, yep, I get to turn around and have a headwind all the way back. So it was an out and back, and I had a headwind almost the entire race, 100 miles of a headwind. The rain had stopped. The skies cleared. It was a beautiful night other than the wind. The wind got stronger. Sand was blowing sideways. We were getting nice sand-blasted facials. Sand was blowing sideways into my shoe across the tongue and the laces. It was an adventure. It was a struggle. But got it done, got the 100 miles. So that was the weather that year. Because the weather was so lousy, there was so much rain, so much wind, the organizers partnered with a local company in the Outer Banks called Surfbox Storage. And they have basically their shipping containers that they've converted into storage containers. So they placed these at the aid station as a way for the volunteers to be able to get out of the elements, as well as bring the runners in where they could get warm, get away from the wind for a little bit, try and get dry, get some warm food without being pelted by the sand and the rain until they went back out. They partnered with them again last year in 2025, and I believe they're going to be there again this year, but don't quote me on that. But I believe they are, and that's just that's just a testament to how much these organizers love their runners and just want to take care of them. They didn't have to bring in these storage boxes. They could have said, well, this is what you signed up for, which is kind of what we did. They also didn't have to make changes to the course and make it an out and back. As bad as that weather was, no one would have blamed them if they would have canceled this race. It was horrendous, but they did what was the safest thing that could be done to make sure that they could have a race for us that wanted to run 100 miles to be able to successfully complete that to the best of their ability. And they absolutely did an amazing job. That's a reason that I went back in 2025, and that's the reason that I fought so hard to be an ambassador for 2026, and why I'm going back for my third year this year. 2025 was a little bit better. It was the actual point-to-point ending at the Tiki Bar. The weather was much better. It was a little warm, but still had we had a headwind almost the entire length of the course again, but it wasn't as bad, and the weather didn't rain as much. I think we got a little bit of rain, but it wasn't terrible. So much better last year than it was in 2024. Both times got it done, had a great time. The first year that I did it in 2024, I had a group of pacers with me, and they started pacing me after mile 10. There's an aid station right around mile 10, and that's when I had pacers at that point from then on. And they paced with me for the next 90 miles for the most part. So they swapped in and out, but had a great time. And to the point that they had such a great time, to the point that one of my pacers, Tracy, who's an absolutely Wonderful, wonderful soul. She helped me get into running when I was in Illinois and started running. She was there with me, encouraging me, answering my 1,000 questions that I had every day, and running trails with me up there. And so she joined me as a pacer my first year. She came back in 2025 and we ran the whole thing together. So that was so much fun. She has goals for this year to absolutely crush that course, and I think she's going to do it. Let's see, what else? Oh, my Pacers in 2025, they ended up being a relay team. So I had Pacers with Tracy and I the whole time, but they were a relay team. So they swapped in and out. They ran the entire thing as a relay team, had a great time. And some of them are actually going back this year to not as to pace as a relay team, but to be an actual relay team, and they're going for time. And I think they're absolutely going to crush it. So I can't wait to see what they do. So yeah, that's my introduction to Blackbeard's Revenge 100. 7 weeks to go. It's going to be a great time. Who knows what the weather is going to be? Maybe third time's a charm, and I'll have perfect weather with tailwind the entire way at like 10 miles an hour. I'm not expecting that at all, but boy, it sure would be nice if Blackbeard would settle down a little bit and not try to take quite so much revenge on us. But if you want to join me, it's not too late. You can sign up. If you have questions, let me know. I'm an ambassador, so I've got a little bit of a discount code. If you sign up for it and use my link, and I will try and include this in the notes part of this, so you have that link. It'll save you 10%. But if you have any questions about the 100 mile, about the 100K, either of the relays, just feel free to ask. It is a great time. The people are wonderful. The scenes are absolutely gorgeous. And it's going to be another fascinating, fun-filled year at Blackbeard's Revenge. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me. And again, if you have any questions, please ask. I'd love to help you out. And thank you for following me along on this journey to Blackbeard's. And from here, it's going to be the Paris Marathon in April, and then High Lonesome 100 in July, which I am so nervous about and so looking forward to, with ultimately hoping to make it into Cocodona for 2027 and doing that 256.6 miles, I believe it is. I know it's 256 something, but doing that incredibly well done race. So looking forward to all of it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.